Hey there guys, and welcome back to Alex Invest, and today the markets are red. We actually started off a little bit green this morning and then quickly moved into the red. Now that's not because of tech and innovation. Tech and innovation has actually been red pretty much throughout the whole day, and we've kind of been seeing this drop in tech and innovation stocks in general lately, and this sector rotation to kind of these recovery stocks, and that's kind of why the market was green this morning as well, is because of those recovery stocks. And now tech was still down. My portfolio mostly down today. However, I'm still picking up shares where I can. For example, MVMD is one that I've just been constantly picking up. However, this sector rotation, we've kind of talked about it before, and how Kathy Wood kind of says it's actually quite a bullish indicator, because it shows that we're not seeing sort of higher and higher highs in tech, which would signal more of a bubble. But seeing this kind of correction in tech is actually a good sign that tech is not as overvalued as people like to think it is, especially right now. You know, people are saying, oh, tech's overvalued, let's rotate into these recovery stocks, etc. Well, I kind of disagree. I actually think tech now is quite undervalued compared to the rest of the market, especially with the continued sell-off we are seeing. However, today I want to talk to you guys about EXRO Technologies. I want to go through why the stock price has been dropping, and obviously it goes into this sector rotation as well. And I just want to go through a few of the reasons why I'm still bullish on EXRO, and why I am in fact holding my shares and may even pick up a few more. That being said, of course, I have been investing in, as you guys know from watching my channel, MVMD, CMC, HRH, and I'm thinking of picking up some FCell as well, because the price has gone down again. I might even do a little option on that. So anyways, let's get into, first of all, why the share price of EXRO Technologies has been dropping so much lately. Well, first of all, obviously we have the Mariner research report, right? It's still out there. People still see it, and then they get worried and they sell. They probably see that more likely than they see, you know, the videos out there explaining why EXRO is a legitimate company, like mine, for example. So that's one reason there. And it really doesn't help the fact that EXRO hasn't brought out any news lately on sort of their company, on any new developments there. So since sort of that last response to the defamatory report by Mariner Research, right? That was kind of their last information they gave us. So I think once we see some more news, again, we'll probably see the price come back up a little bit from here. So again, not a horrible spot to get in, right? So that's the first thing. Now, the second reason I think that EXRO Technologies has been dropping is because of worries about interest rates going up. Now, sure, this is more of a US problem in this case, but you know, the US and Canada are so correlated here that anything kind of that happens in the US tends to happen in Canada as well. So if we see the market drop in the US, we see the market drop in Canada, and vice versa. Big correlation there between the two, right? So worries about inflation, let's get into that for a bit, right? The Fed has said they're not raising interest rates for the next at least 2 years. People don't believe them. Why do people not believe them? Well, it's quite simple. They are worried about inflation. When inflation gets out of hand, what happens is the Fed has to raise interest rates in order to kind of calm down inflation. It's basically a way to mitigate inflation. And that's because as interest rates go up, that means savings goes up. Because people are more willing to save more money because they get a higher interest rate on that. That decreases demand, and then obviously from that decreases inflation, right? And when inflation gets too out of hand, that's what the Fed has to do. However, the big thing about that is people are already putting their money into the stock market, which that also does not affect inflation. And this goes into the whole point about how we're entering into a decade where people are spending less. They're investing more and they are saving more, because people have sort of realized that all this spending that we've did before the pandemic, it's unnecessary. It's a way of the past, essentially. And sure, spending will go up. we will see velocity of money go up. We will see demand go up after the pandemic is fully over and vaccines are out. And this makes sense. But we're not going to see that insane rise in inflation because of that insane rise in demand as people are thinking. And it's for the simple reason that we can see that change already. For example, in the stock market, everyone is investing in stocks now. And that's not going to change once the pandemic is over. In fact, I think it might even increase once the pandemic is over. And people are, now that they've started investing, they're not going to stop investing. And so we're entering into kind of this era where we're just spending less. So people who are worried about inflation really don't need to be, but we're going to get more into that on a video on Friday. Today, I want to just stick with EXRO. So what is happening there? As interest rates go up, or as people think interest rates are going to go up, which again, like I've just mentioned, makes little to no sense in my opinion. What happens is that you're discounting more into the future. And now we've talked a little bit about this before, but essentially what happens is the money today is now worth less than it was before when interest rates were lower. So as interest rates go up, we discount more into the future, and therefore our present values are lower. And that's why we're seeing this sell-off in tech and innovation, specifically these more speculative stocks, because they don't have high revenues. They don't have any revenues really to show for it. And what that does is the money that they are potentially going to make in the future is now discounted more heavily into the present, and that decreases the value of our positions. Now, that is number 2 there. So interest rates are going up because of inflation worries. Number 3 is that EXRO technologies and a lot of these other stocks that I'm invested in have a high beta, which means essentially that it has a higher effect on the market. So as an example, I'll show you guys this right here. So we can see the beta for EXRO Technologies is 2.4 right here. So what that means is whatever the market does, EXRO essentially does 2.4 times that. So if the market is read by 1%, EXRO is read by 2.4%. If the market's green by 1%, EXRO is green by 2.4% essentially. So since we've been seeing this kind of sell-off in tech and innovation, we've also seen kind of a sell-off in EXRO and in the general market here, really, especially when you take out sort of these recovery stocks in this sector rotation and you strictly look at kind of tech. Then you'll see with that beta, that actually makes quite a lot of sense that we're seeing a downturn. So those are kind of the 3 different aspects why we're seeing a decrease in EXRO's stock price. Now let's go into some of the reasons why I am still bullish. First of all, Raymond James has a $7 price target on the stock. They raised their price target actually since sort of that short report by Mariner Research. And they expect $9 million in revenues in 2022, and in 2023 they expect $29 million in revenue, which gets them a share price of about $7 within the next year here. Now, for people who think that EXRO is not a legitimate company, they don't have validation, etc., I would strongly disagree with that in the fact that they have 17 patents already on their technology, and they've got another 18 patents coming. And what that shows to me is clear validation of their product. They believe in their product. They're getting these patents so that they can go to commercialization, they can go to market and start selling these coal drivers. Now, that gets me into the next point. When are we going to see commercialization? When are we going to see these revenues come in? Well, it's quite soon, within the next year here. Within basically 2021, we're going to see first revenues. And from there, we're going to see quicker commercialization, faster revenues. And a lot of these partners that they have now, where they're still in that validation phase, are going to be moving to commercialization. Now, I want to show you guys again this, which we always go over this, right? And this is their milestones here, EXRO's milestones. Now, what we can see from that is in Q4 2021, we'll see first revenues. And leading up to that, I believe we should see a higher stock price. Their business model as well gives them a very, very high kind of margin on their product with little capex, which capital expenditures, right? So everything is kind of pointing in the right direction for EXRO. There's not too many other companies working on specifically this, and they don't really compete, and they kind of work with car and motor manufacturers. So again, like I've mentioned, EXRO has hit all their milestones in the past. They are doing things quickly, they are doing things efficiently, and I do really like their management team as well. Now, we've talked about all this before, but I thought it would be important to just reiterate those last few points there. And that's gonna do it for the video today, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment as always. And other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys on Friday.